I'm Rutter. I'm the Programme Director for the work that the Institute for Government does on better policy making, but before that I was in government for a long time as a civil servant. Better integration of science into Whitehall has been a rather constant recurring theme of various previous attempts at civil service reform, if you go back to Fulton in 1968, and not much has changed in those respects. I thought it was quite striking that no politicians and hardly any of the most senior civil servants in charge of departments have any sort of scientific or technical background, and that was exactly what Fulton was complaining about in 1968. There have clearly been some big developments on science advice. The development of the Chief Scientific Advisor Network now is really quite a powerful force. But I think the big issue for science in Whitehall is how does it become a really integral part of the forming policy agenda, rather than just people who are experts to be brought in, asked a question and then sort of excluded from the rest of the process. So I think that mainstreaming is really important. And one suggestion I made in my piece was that perhaps there's a role for the Chief Scientific Advisor to do something similar to what the Chief Medical Officer does, which is to produce an annual report on their take on what the big issues are that government needs to confront over the next few years. For policymakers, what really matters are having really effective networks. When we did our research a couple of years ago on policy making, one of the things that ministers said to us was that they felt too many civil servants lacked deep knowledge of their subjects, but they also weren't really in touch with cutting-edge thinking, either in think tanks or in academia. Now, I don't think it's realistic to expect policymakers in Whitehall, even ones who come in with technical backgrounds, to be on top of all current thinking going on. That's just an impossible ask, and particularly as the civil service is shrinking, that's a completely impossible ask. But what we suggested in our policy-making work, and I think CSAP performs this role admirably, is that there should be a really sort of 1 degree of separation rule, so that the civil servant might not know the answer, but they know the person who does. So I think those sort of connecting networks play a potentially hugely vital role in leveraging the civil service and being able to bring in and also filter knowledge, because you need to be able to make sense of things. So I think building personal connections, but making people know who they can ask, is an incredibly valuable role. So I think things like the policy fellowships are very valuable. We in IFG have done work with the British Academy, with the Arts and Humanities Research Council on connecting the people they fund in academia into policy making, and I think there's a lot to be done out there, because a lot of interesting thinking going on in academia, but academics do not know how to engage with government, and your hard-pressed policymaker doesn't really have the time to go searching for the academic who knows. So I think anything that can cut that sort of span is really, really valuable.